Kia ora and welcome to another episode of Rural New Zealand. I'm your host Scotty Banford. Join me as we check out what's happening in Canterbury. On this week's episode we meet the man behind the legend of Mount White Station. Pasture Coach show us their brand new app, but first we meet a man who's come halfway around the world to follow his dreams.
Well, my name's Lewis. I'm a vet that works in North Canterbury for North Canterbury Vet Clinics. I originally went to vet school in England at Nottingham Vet School, and then when I graduated I decided to look for jobs in New Zealand, and I found this one and came over and started working in August last year. New Zealand dairy and New Zealand sheep and beef have quite a big name back home for being pretty innovative and quite good form of farming, and I wanted to come and see it. And then some of my tutors said, oh, if you're going to do it while you're young, rather than do a couple of years in England first and then come over. So yeah, I just decided to get into it and look at finding a job. North Canterbury's been really good. Really enjoyed my time here. They've given me lots of responsibility, and I've learnt a whole lot in the year I've been here. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed it enough to stay on. I originally wanted to just come out for a short term of work and then go back and work in England, but they've been so good that I thought I'd stick it out for another couple of years.
Lewis said he had some cool jobs lined up for the day and asked if I'd like to join him.
We're doing some metric curing today. So what this is we're on a dairy. We're at Upper Balmoral Dairy with the manager Kane, who's just over the way now. And what he's done this morning is check all his cows after they've calved to see if they've got any infections in their uterus. So we just move the tail out the way, and then we go into the vagina and just check and take it out. And you see that material there? That's pus. So what we're going to do is treat her. Now to do this, we do it a little bit like AI. So what I do is I put one hand in rectally and I pick up the cervix of the cow, and then I use this pipette to manoeuvre it past the cervix and then inject the antibiotic solution into her uterus to treat the infection. But it's a pretty simple process.
Once the first job was ticked off the list, it was off to the next one.
So we're here with our debudding team today. We have a team of technicians that carry out debudding for our local dairy farmers. Today we're just doing 30 calves. What this is horns can be annoying in a dairy herd and all the other cows, and they can cause injuries and things like that. So it's best to take them off at an early age, and this is the best time to do it. So we offer a service as part of North Canterbury to come out, and we do the dehorning under sedation and with local anaesthetic put in. In New Zealand it's legal to do this without any pain relief, but we don't really feel comfortable with that, so we offer this service, and we think it's really good how many of our farmers use it, and they're pretty keen on it, and it shows that even in tough times when it costs a bit extra, that the value is really there. How the process goes is, first of all, we take every calf and we give them a dose of xylazine, which is a sedative, and then you'll see them all lie down on the floor. And then we take a local anaesthetic and we find the nerve which runs between the horn and the eye, and that provides all the sensory innervation to the horn, and we put local anaesthetic around this using one of these guns, so then they can't feel anything when we use the hot iron to burn around the horn and remove that horn tissue, so that then when they're older cattle they don't then grow into horns which could be used as weapons against other herd mates. And then after we've done that, we spray using an antibiotic spray just onto the horn bud, and also we check them to see if they've got any supernumerary teats, which can be removed now pretty easily compared to later when they grow up into adult cows, and it can be quite a difficult operation to remove a supernumerary teat. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty simple. We're about to see a calf which may have something stuck in its esophagus. So we're just going to see. Hasn't been drinking very well over the past few days. Just going to take a tube and see if I can pass it down there into the first stomach of the calf. And yeah, just check to see what's going on. Now to find which one. Hey, I can't feel anything getting stuck, and that passes right the way through. Yeah, okay. I'll just grab my stethoscope. I want to have a listen to her as she drinks. I think she'll do okay. Maybe it'll just be quite a lot of time, you know. Yeah. No, cool. Well, thanks for letting me have a look at her. Yeah. I think you've got to be, you know, good sense of humour. All our farmers are pretty relaxed and like working with someone. I think you've got to be quite dedicated and be used to dealing with big numbers. That's something I've struggled with. There's so many cows per farm that most of the jobs you do take a long time, and you have to do lots of cows. So you maybe work a bit harder than some of the other vets around. But no, we try and do our best.
After the break, we talk to Ironman 4x4 and Chris from Pasture Coach. See you then. Kia ora, welcome back to rural New Zealand. Pasture Coach have created a new app that allows their software to be used while you're out on the farm.
Okay, hi, I'm Chris Lewis. I'm a dairy farm consultant, but I'm also the designer and part owner of a computer program called Pasture Coach. And Pasture Coach in the last 18 months has been under pressure. People have requested for a mobile app to be developed, and we thought, well, it's a really good idea. It took us into a new space, and we're there now. So we have a mobile application for Pasture Coach, which goes onto your smart device. Having the mobile app on your phone gives you the ability to get out into the paddocks, enter the pasture covers for each paddock as you go. So I'll do the rising plate, I'll come up with a pasture cover, enter it into the phone. It immediately gives you a pasture growth rate for that paddock. When you've actually done that for every paddock and you've actually completed your farm walk, a couple of presses of a button and you immediately have the average cover for your farm, the average pasture growth rate for your farm, and further to that you even actually have a feed wedge for the farm as well. So all of that is done before you've even actually got out of the last paddock. You can synchronise that information. It goes up into the cloud, and from there anybody who has access to your data immediately can see that pasture cover walk. So you can have a farm owner who's got a farm manager, he does the pasture cover walk, synchronises when he's finished, and the farm owner, who could also be using a mobile device and connecting, could immediately see what the farm looks like. So they could be literally anywhere in the world and they can see what the pasture cover is on the farm. We have two tools that are on the mobile app for Pasture Coach. We think it's actually important for people who are out in the paddock to be able to make management decisions on the go. So these two tools are the rotation planner. You need to get your rotation speed in sync with the amount of grass that you're offering and the amount of grass that you're growing. So by using the rotation planner, you can literally be out on the farm making decisions as to what is the right speed for the cows to be moving around. There's also a brake calculator, very helpful in the winter time when you're walking into a paddock and you want to know how many brakes to set up and what the dimensions of that brake might be. That tool is just sitting on your phone. You can immediately work these out quite accurately so that you're efficiently feeding your animals. In order to download the mobile app, you can go through either Android and go to Google Play, or go to the App Store for an Apple application. So it works on both Android and it works on Apple as well. There's no cost to the app itself, so you can download it for free, and there are immediately the tools and a couple of parts of the application which can be used straight away. Yeah, in order to be able to use the mobile app, you've first got to have Pasture Coach working for you in the cloud. So you need to go to pasturecoachnz.co.nz, download the software onto a PC, set your farm up, and then the information can be synchronized through the cloud onto your mobile app. It's important that you do it that way round. Yeah, we've tested it with a number of farmers over the last 6 months, and they've actually appreciated being able to make decisions, enter information while they're on the go. So we've been, in fact, very much encouraged while we've gone through the testing program, and this is all very new. It's only just being released into the market now, but we're quite confident that it's going to deliver what people have been asking us for.
Vince, mate, how's it going?
Yeah, good, Scotty.
Good to see you again.
And you well?
Oh, I can't complain. So, looks like you've got everything under the sun in this workshop, mate.
No, we've got a fair bit of gear here, all right. Yeah, so this is our retail outlet as well as our wholesale outlet here in Hornby. So we've got a bit of a showroom here with a bit of gear that people can come and have a look at. So, starting off here is our range of bull bars. So they're just for the range of vehicles around, and then we move around here. We've got a range of radios that we do from Australia. So this is the GME products. So they're all two-way radios for between vehicles and on the land communications as well. So it's another range of products we do.
Yeah.
Over here we've just got a bit of recovery gear. So this is all your snatch straps and your winch extensions and your snatch blocks and all the gear you need for
when you get stuck.
That's the one, towing yourself out when you've got yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
And then round here we've got our roof racks and suspension components as well. So we've got the whole range and just a bit of a sample for people to look at.
Yeah.
As we sort of go around here a bit more, we've got some of our camping gear. So we've got quite a big range of outdoor gear there, lights and showers and all sorts of things that you might need when you're out and about. And then we have a range of tyres and wheels that we do as well. So basically all from your normal car tyres right up to your sort of big four-wheel drive off-road tyres. And over here we've got a few of our toolboxes. So we'll get into a bit more depth with those later, but yeah, we do a whole range of toolboxes for the tradies and the farmers and bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. And over here we've got a couple of our winches and bits and pieces as well, so all the recovery gear and bits and pieces like that. So it's a fairly comprehensive range.
So basically if they're after 4x4 equipment, you're the man to see.
That's it, we should have it all hopefully.
Sweet. After the break, we meet the man behind the legend of Mount White Station. See you then.
So I'm Peter Glassford. I was one of the original directors that formed the company with Graham Brown, and my role is looking after effectively farming clients, and also having some overall responsibility for the administration and operation of the company. Employment is probably one of the biggest issues for farmers. It's the area where farmers seem to struggle because of the fact that it's difficult to find the right employees and it's difficult to retain them. So we have a lot of discussions with farmers around employment issues, and we see plenty of situations where it's done really well, and we see occasionally situations where it isn't done well. So from that, we've identified a few issues that people need to be aware of. I think the first thing is, if you are starting out to employ someone for your farm, you need to have a very clear picture of what that person's role is and what you're looking for. Because it's easy to start out with an objective of what the staff member you want, and then end up going through the process and taking someone who doesn't meet that criteria, sometimes because you can't find anybody else, but sometimes because you've moved too far away from the original intention. So what we suggest is you need to have a good job description of the role. You need to require applicants to provide you with a written application, so that you've got the basis on which to make that decision. And also, because they have to provide you with a written application, there is a requirement that they have to provide that information correctly and honestly. Yeah. The other thing I think you need to do is you need to try and get referees rather than references, because you'll generally learn a lot more by speaking to someone about this employee's previous role in their organisation than you will by getting information based on a written reference. There's an awful lot of not dishonesty in information that's provided for applicants, but quite often there is an exaggeration around perhaps the level of experience or the level of the role they had previously. So by talking to a referee as opposed to getting a written reference, you get a much better opportunity to discuss that and to clearly establish what exactly the person's role and experience is before you employ them. You can employ somebody on a 90-day trial period, and at the end of that 90 days, you can terminate their employment without having to give a reason. And it's an extremely valuable tool for people to use that are employing staff on their farms. There are, however, some quite strict rules around the use of that provision. For a start, the 90-day rule provision has to be included in the contract that they sign so that you can apply it, because clearly if it's not on the contract you can't. The second issue is they must have signed the contract and agreed to the 90-day condition before they commenced employment with you. And you cannot present them with a contract on the morning they start and expect that contract to be signed by them, understood, and be enforceable. So what we recommend to our clients is that they always provide the employment contract to the employee prior to them commencing work, and they have to be given sufficient time to read it and to seek advice from third parties if they wish to before they sign it. And there's a real danger if you give it to the employee on the morning they sign, the morning they start, you're still going to take the view that they've signed it before they started, but at the end of the day you haven't given them enough time to consider it. One of the things with the 90-day rule is that it's not a get out of jail card. So what you don't want is people to be taking the view that they can drop their standards on recruitment because, well, worst case scenario, they can always get rid of them after 90 days. Because you are required under the provisions of the 90-day rule to act in good faith and to give your best endeavours to ensure that that employee is successful and is given the support and other training or whatever that they need. So you've just got to be careful that it is a very good tool, but it's not a backstop that you use to fix what would effectively be bad recruitment processes.
Hi, well, I'm Gerald Tanbury. I've lived here for 36 years, and I've just completed a book on the history of Mount White Station.
So what got you into writing this book?
I've known the history of Mount White vaguely for quite a number of years. I was born and raised in South Canterbury, and I was familiar with the Turnbull family down there. In those days they have a grain and seed business in Timaru, which was pretty well known. As I say, lived up here for 36 years and done quite a bit of sort of rural work around the place, along with a wee bit of farming on my own behalf here, and managed to get up there back in the early 90s with a friend doing just minor fencing jobs here and there and small projects, and it is a very attractive and alluring place. It kind of grows on you, and I tended to search out a bit of information on it, was unable to find too much, and decided then I'd like to attempt a crack at a history on the place. I did do a little bit of journalism work. I studied journalism correspondence, again, 25 years ago, or almost that, and the Turnbull family obliged and said yes, they would like me to have a crack at it. I used the word attempt, not right. So it all grew from there, and it took 10 years, but wow. As I say, during those years I was working, but it's again something you can't rush, because it's you're chasing history, and a lot of it's hearsay. You've got to be able to verify those facts and figures, otherwise if you've got inaccuracies in the book, readers can quite soon pick that up, and then the whole thing can become rather less valuable.
So the research side of things, where did you get most of your information from?
From descendants of people who were there, and quite a few who actually were there. I've gone back and I've picked up a deer culler who was there in the 1950s when Peter Bell was managing the station, and one or two others. So it's just been an exercise of tracking down people. I've got musterers who were there. One who was there and left in 1941 to go to the war, still alive today, and a very good record and recall of the place. And I've been able to track down through good help from descendants, of course, details of men and who were on the place back in last century, in the 1890s even.
Wow.
And I had such strong support from everyone I contacted, huge support, people very keen to help me, and that's actually what got the project finished. You know, I started it quite casually, just to see how I'd get on. I thought, well, if you get nothing, you're going nowhere. But no, it wasn't that at all. You know, people gave me photos, some wonderful old historical photos there. And very lucky I got Mr. John Beaugène, who was currently up there quite recently on Castle Hill with Chrissy Fanny-Ho, and he's a professional photographer, and some lovely big wide-angle shots from him in the book there, and that's a big feature of it. Along with some very good photos from others who had mustered it quite recently again.
So you're completely happy with the outcome?
Delighted, yes. I sent, well, again, it wasn't easy getting the book published. I tried one firm and they shook their head and said no, and advised me to perhaps take some of the segments I'd done on various families, print that and give it to them, or even perhaps wrap the whole script up and give it to a local library or something, and they may value it. But then another group put me on to Mary Egan in Auckland, and I gave her about 48,000 words and a great pile of photographs and left her with that, and she produced this.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Which you know, as most people have described as pretty stunning.
For a little bit of a treat, I thought I'd show you guys that I'm not perfect and sometimes things do go wrong. Well, that's our show this week. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. That makes sense. After the break, we are something. Some shit. So this free water, how popular is that? After the break, we meet the instructor. Poopy. Funky funk. Sweet. Well, thanks for joining us on Rural New Zealand. I certainly hope you enjoyed the show. Just remember to like us on Facebook, and if you have missed an episode, you can watch it on demand. Catch you guys next time when we go on another amazing adventure. See you then.